Welcome to the Turing Test podcast. Today, we're diving into some fierce debates in AI, where Yann LeCun, Meta's chief AI scientist and convolutional net pioneer, is throwing some major punches at all the doommongers out there.
I'm excited. Yeah, this is one of those conversations that just gets the neuron fires going, right?
Absolutely, it's really intense. LeCun's basically saying that all this robots will kill us hype is, well, dangerous because it shifts our focus from addressing real issues like bias, privacy, and market concentration.
Yep, right. And he even mentioned on Kara Swisher's podcast that existential risk, while clickbaity, makes for bad policy. Isn't that a bold thing to say?
It is. I mean, think about it. Exaggerating risks can lure people into panic mode rather than pushing for tangible, solvable challenges. He argues that we'd get far better results by tackling these concrete issues than obsessing over a far-fetched future apocalypse.
And then there's his take on open models. Meta's shift towards open-weight AI with releases like Llama 4 Scout and Maverick is pretty groundbreaking, right?
Yeah, exactly. His view is that when you let the community probe, patch, and audit models, it actually accelerates the closing of potential security holes. It's like comparing Linux in its early days versus, say, proprietary systems where vulnerabilities fester in secret.
Indeed. But, there are critics who worry that open models could amplify misuse, essentially giving bad actors an open playground. What do you think about that?
That's the fascinating part. LeCun counters that argument by, well, saying the tools for misuse already exist and that transparency ultimately levels the playing field. It's, his twist on the classic encryption argument. Keeping secrets isn't a guarantee of safety. It just means the good guys lose out on rapid fixes.
Got it. Now moving on. What's your take on his stance about scaling versus world models? He's dropping the bomb that scaling up parameter counts isn't synonymous with common sense or even human-level reasoning.
Oh yes. He points out that the math doesn't add up. Our current models lack grounded world understanding, long-term memory, proper causal reasoning, and hierarchical planning. In his words, language is just a little frosting on a huge cake of non-linguistic cognition.
Exactly. It's like saying you can't build a solid house on a pile of candy, right? You need those underlying structures. And that brings us to Meta's V-JEPA system. It's designed to predict abstract video states rather than just mashing tokens together.
Precisely. Think of it as teaching a child, or an AI, physics with Lego blocks instead of just snapshots of pixels. It's about constructing a world model, sort of a blueprint for understanding behavior more holistically.
Yep. I really appreciate that analogy, but I do have one concern. While building world models sounds innovative, isn't there a risk that we're just swapping one set of limitations for another? How do we know these virtual sandboxes won't just end up being, well, equally myopic?
That's a very fair point, and one that LeCun himself seems to be aware of. He's not claiming world models are the silver bullet, just that, compared to ridiculous scale-ups that might overemphasize brute force, these models offer a more sustainable path. He even mentioned that most interesting problems, he says, scale extremely badly.
And then there's the whole regulatory angle. LeCun's innovation first, regulation later mantra clearly signals he's worried that early heavy-handed rules could stifle progress.
Absolutely. He argues that regulating research too early is like, certifying the wind tunnel instead of the airplane itself. It's a call to focus regulation on applications, not on inhibiting the underlying research.
Spot on. But isn't there an inherent risk in that approach? I mean, some folks might contend that without early guidance, we risk uncontrolled misuse. What's your read on that?
I hear that argument, but LeCun believes that laissez-faire research coupled with subsequent application-specific regulation is the best route. His worry is that premature, blanket regulations might actually entrench the power of the tech giants, those same companies that are now sounding alarms against open models.
True. And there's the spicy takeaway too. Some claim his crusade might be more about protecting Meta's interests than pure principles. You saw, Reuters mentioned Meta is pouring billions into a superintelligence lab.
Exactly. Critics suggest his rhetoric against AI doom could be a clever move to stave off pesky regulations that might slow down Meta's own race to the top. Yet from what we've seen historically, LeCun's been consistent since 2015. It's not a trend, it's a long-held belief.
It does come down to a philosophical debate. Centralization versus democratization of potentially dangerous knowledge. Do you lock it up or spread it around so society can adapt?
Exactly. It's like how history treated the printing press or even CRISPR. In LeCun's view, more access equals a better opportunity for society to both innovate and police itself. He firmly believes that spreading AI knowledge openly can prevent a situation where a single giant model becomes a single point of failure.
And if we look at Meta's future plans, like the delayed launch of the Llama Behemoth and the push into multimodal agents learning physics in virtual sandboxes, it's all essentially an experiment in how far open models and world models can take us.
Absolutely. The Llama Behemoth, with its trillion parameter potential, is the ultimate litmus test. Millions of developers poking at it will reveal not only its strengths, but also unforeseen vulnerabilities, proving or disproving the open weight hypothesis.
Yep, exactly. Now, circling back to the broader picture, LeCun's message is that we need to innovate without being paralyzed by speculative fears. He's essentially saying, panic later, innovate now.
And that's a refreshing outlook. Instead of dissipating energy on hyperbolic predictions, it encourages us to confront and resolve the genuine present-day issues in technology.
I agree. So whether you're Team Doom or Team Open, the debate isn't just technical. It's fundamentally about how we choose to govern and shape the future of technology, right?
Exactly. It's a dialogue that spans technical, ethical, and philosophical dimensions. And in that context, every informed debate, every measured critique, is a step towards a more robust, innovative future.
Right on. Before we wrap up, any final reflections on LeCun's vision?
Just the usual. A call to remove needless panic and to embrace a more wide-open, collaborative approach to AI development. It's challenging, it's provocative, but ultimately, it pushes the conversation beyond the usual buzzwords into real, actionable strategies.
Absolutely, well said. Then that's our cue to keep exploring, debating, and challenging these ideas as they evolve. Thanks for being a part of this dynamic discussion.
And thanks to everyone listening. Like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts, both cheers and critiques, in the comments. We'll keep diving deep into these fascinating topics as they unfold.
Yeah, indeed.